So today I have something a little bit different than normal. Well, I guess it's not really different than normal, but different from my December daily stuff. I'm working on some Christmas Happy Mail. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen that I've made these a few times before. These are, I don't know, exploding boxes, I guess is what they'd be called. I call them a flip box because they're like flip books, but in a box form. So I'm going to be showing you guys how I make these today. So the first thing you do is you're going to start out with a 12 by 12 piece of paper, and then you're going to score it at 4 inches and at 8 inches, and then flip it and then score it at 4 inches and 8 inches. So it creates kind of a tic-tac-toe pattern, I guess. And then on the corners, you're going to cut those off. You can do it with scissors, but I don't trust myself with scissors to cut in a straight line. I think I've said that on here before. So I cut it on my paper trimmer. So you cut off those corners, and then what I'm doing here is I'm scoring in the middle of those corners, and when you'll see what I'm doing when I fold it up here and why I'm doing that. So when you've scored on those corners, you can be able to fold that up into a box. The reason I don't cut the pieces out completely is because I like it to have a little bit of stability when you've actually got your stuff in there. So I like to keep those in there. The middle section is what we're going to cut out next. This section is going to be a 9 by 9 piece of paper. I used a pattern paper because I'm not going to be decorating one side of it, so I wanted it to be something other than just white. And then same thing here, you're going to score at, well, instead of 4 and 8, you're going to score at 3 and 6, and then flip and then score it at 3 and 6. This section, however, you're going to cut out all the corner squares, so you're just kind of left with a little cross section. So that's all I'm doing here. And then this section is going to go in the middle of the box, which you'll see in a minute. However, I decorate first and then I glue later, so you'll see when I do that. So I had attempted to make one of these, or actually I had made one of these, but I had attempted to video it before, but my camera doesn't like to video for very long. I think it cuts off at 30 minutes. I'm sure there's a way to reset that somehow, but I don't know how. So I started recording one, and then it cut off, and then it kept cutting off, because usually when I'm crafting, I'm doing other things too, so it didn't work very well. So here I'm making another one, just so I could video it and show you guys. So in the center of my box, I'm going to make a little kind of 3D tree. I have these little squares and little wooden dowels in my stash, and I think I bought them for my son to play with like last year, and he never did, so now they're just in my stash, and I thought, what a perfect way to use these little things than to make little trees. So I have this punch that I got from Hobby Lobby. It's just a Paper Studios punch, and I punched out 3 trees, and I'm just going to glue them together so they're just 3-dimensional. And then, because I don't have patience to hold anything while the glue's drying, I use clothespins, which you've seen in my previous videos too. So I'm just gluing all those edges together. And before I glued them, you kind of maybe saw that I had kind of bent the edges a little bit. That was just kind of make it easier to glue together so you're not dealing with stiff paper. And I just hot glued that little wooden dowel into the square, and then I hot glued the tree onto that. And just kind of moving it around, making sure that it's straight on all sides, and then putting that to the side. So to decorate the middle, I mean, you could decorate it any way that you wanted, but what I did was I cut out these squares at, I believe I did 2 3/4 for the squares to cover, so it left a little bit of a white border around the edge of the papers, and then just glued those in there. For the middle section, I used a different pattern paper than the outside section. So I used that plaid, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one of my little glitter frames, which I've shown in previous videos. So I just score on all the edges, and then from my score lines, I mark kind of where those lines meet. And then I'm going to cut with my straight blade. I'm going to cut along those score lines to make a little frame. So what this frame is going to do is kind of frame out where my tree is going to sit. And I just glue that right down in the center there. There we go. And for the other squares, I use the same pattern paper for each square, but again, I mean, you can get creative and kind of decorate any way you wanted. And then I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I used a pattern paper so I wouldn't have to decorate the back. You could always decorate the back too. It would just depend on how much you're trying to fit on the back. If you're doing mostly flat kind of embellishments, it would work fine, but the more dimension you're giving to your embellishments, the harder it's going to be to make them all fit in your box. So I'm kind of going with, because I have a tree in the center, I'm kind of going for like a Christmas tree theme for the middle section here. So I did those, and then I decided that I wanted another mat on the squares. So I'm doing black because if you have seen my December Daily kit, which is what I'm using here to make this Happy Mail, there is a lot of black in the collection, so I just did a little bit smaller square there, and then I'm using this strip of this yellow gold colored paper to just go on top of that. As I was watching this video, I was thinking, oh, I could have done little like belly bands where I'm putting those strips, and I probably could have, and you totally could too, but I wasn't thinking about that when I made this, so they're just going to be decorative strips along the, that black paper, like that. And then on top of those strips, I'm just going to add some stickers from my stash. They're My Mind's Eye stickers from the Christmas on Market Street collection. I have a lot of that collection that I had gotten from a My Mind's Eye grab bag, and I'm not using it with any of my kit because it doesn't really match. But I wanted to kind of use it and get rid of it, so I made a few pieces of Happy Mail to mail to my pen pals with it, and all I have left is some sticker sheets. So on the sticker sheets there are these letters that spell out Christmas, so I'm going to be using those because they're gold, and gold goes with everything. So that's all I'm doing here. I'm going to skip ahead so you don't have to watch me put those on. And then I have these embellishments. These are like raised stickers. They're not flat. You can't really tell there, but you'll be able to tell in the close-ups. But that's a little bit raised, and you can kind of see because I'm placing a sticker kind of underneath it. But all of these I got at Hobby Lobby. They're all Paper Studios, and it all matches the collection I'm using for this piece of mail. And then they're my camera cut out, so that's why you see that there's a few things added now. So I'm just adding some gemstones on the top. I put a bow down on the bottom of that A. I'm adding some little pearl enamel dot things. There's a little chipboard star and a chipboard present that I've stuck on there as well, and I'm just kind of finishing up with my decorating here. And then once I get that all decorated, then I'm going to hot glue the tree down in the center of that box there. So, oh, I guess I'm going to add some more of these little gemstone things. These are also just Hobby Lobby. And I'm just going to put that because I just felt like it needed it on that side, since I have the black on the other side and the black on the other ones. That one needed a little bit of black too. And there my tree is glued down in the center. So that's going to go in the center of this part of the box. So I'm not going to decorate or put anything on the center of this, since you won't really be able to see that very much, but you could always put some patterned paper in the center if you wanted. And then here, so I'm just pretty much doing the same exact thing that I did on the first part of the box. I cut these squares down to, I believe, 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. So it'll leave a little bit of that white border around the squares. And then, so I did 2 different pattern papers, and then with this pattern paper you see me cutting now, I'm going to actually make 2 envelopes here. So this part of the box, the first part is just kind of like a decorated part of the box, and the second part is going to be kind of where I put all of my goodies for my pen pal and my letter and mail tag and things like that. So I'm making a couple little envelopes so I can stick some stuff in, whether that be the letter or just goodies, whatnot. So I'm just using my punch board there and made a 3 by 3 envelope, and that'll just stick right on to those. I'm going to put them on the black paper with the little pine cones and things. That's where those envelopes will go. So this is all going to be kind of symmetrical. So it's going to be like plaid on opposite ends, and then this paper on opposite ends, and then on the pine cone paper will be envelopes, and then on the plaid paper I'm actually going to make little belly bands for those. So I'm just gluing everything down now. And yeah, I don't really know what to talk about when I'm gluing stuff. I feel like maybe I should just cut gluing stuff out so it's not so long, but it's in here, so there you have it. So here I'm just gluing down one of the envelopes, and then I'll be gluing down the other envelope just right on the other side there. So it covers up most of that paper, but I thought it was enough to kind of show what it is. And it all matches, it all goes with the same collection, so there's that one there. So for the belly bands, I thought it would be cute to use this like sweater print. This is the print that I used for my December Daily album cover, and I just cut out the strips, so basically it was just one strip of or one line of the sweater pattern. And then I'm just making belly bands. So I cut them so that they're 5 inches long, and then I scored at 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch on each side, and then trimmed off the little excess, and then just glued those down. So I'll be able to slip either like a mail tag in there, or my letter, or a little thing of goodies. Something else will just slip in those little belly bands. You could always do more envelopes on, all sides if you want to do that. If you don't like the look of the belly band, you can always do it either way. So now I'm just going to be decorating and flip through this pretty quickly. So I have one of my little thicker words that I made in my previous video, and I'm sticking that there. I put a little bow on it, on the O, so it kind of looks like a little wreath. I popped that little phrase up on dimensional dots, and then that tree as well. And then I'm just doing a little bit more decorating here. And I think I finish it off with some enamel dots kind of all around. Oh, and I have those little chipboard buttons. I did that on the envelope, or on one of the envelopes. But here I am putting all of my enamel dots on. I think that kind of just finishes up a page, or, finishes up any kind of mail by adding enamel dots. These ones I got when me and Mary recently went to a scrapbook convention, and I think I went a little overboard at the eyelet outlet booth and got a lot of eyelets, or enamel dots there. So and then these ones are just, I believe, Hobby Lobby, maybe Michael's, I don't know. And then so now I'm just gluing in the center piece of it. Sorry for my head. So I'm just gluing that down, so that'll just kind of flip out when the box gets opened. And then I always use little Velcro circles for my envelopes to kind of keep them close. So that's what I put on there. So now I'm making the lid to my box. This one, I don't have a good way to tell you how to do it other than I just score at 1 inch on one side, I flip it, I do 1 inch on another side, and then from that inch score line, I count over to 4 inches, 4¼ inches, because you want it to be a little bit bigger than the box itself. So you count over it, and then again 4¼ inches there, and then cut it from that score line. You're going to cut it 1 inch, and then from the other score line you're going to cut it 1 inch. So you're going to have 1 inch that's going to be kind of the box closure, and then you'll have your actual, the center of your box, that square is 4¼ inches by 4¼ inches. So this one, you're going to cut one part of the score line, so it'll fold over, and you'll be able to glue it in to close the box up like that. But before I do that, I like to add little strips of paper to look like ribbon to your boxes. So that's what I'm cutting here. I'm just cutting those at 1 inch thick, and then I'm just going to use my ATG gun and then tape those down and then cut off the excess, and then do it the same way, so it's just, well, once I figure out how to do it so it's straight, and then I'll do it so it's going the other direction as well. And then I'm going to be making a bow with my punch board, and to do that, you're going to have a piece of paper that's 1 inch thick by 7 inches long, and then you're going to take your, oh, here I am gluing the box closed, so you can see how I'm gluing all those little pieces. I glue them so they're in the inside, and then again with my clothespins. Seriously, you guys, I use these all the time. So there we go. And I'm just kind of pressing down because the strips of paper weren't scored or anything, so I just wanted to kind of fold those so the box would fold right. So then I'm just gluing that completely on, and that is going to dry while I make my bow. So like I said, 1 inch by 7 inches is going to be what size you want your paper, and then you'll use your punch board, and I punch it at 3½, and then flip it over 3½, and then 1½ on each end. So then flip it over to 1½ and 1½, and then the ends, so you get kind of a little bow look there. And then I'm not sure I do enough of this in frame, but you're kind of fold it over and work your, there we go, work the paper with that so it kind of curls up like a bow. And then use another little strip of paper. You can do this little paper to hold the bow closed any width you want, or you could use washi tape or whatever. So I just hot glued that right on top, and then I decided that I wanted a little tag on my box, so I tried that one, which came with the little ephemera pack with this collection, but I didn't really like it. So this paper was actually part of the little cut apart sheet of paper that came with this collection, and my camera cut out right at that point, but I made a little tag out of that, and that is the finished work. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and I'll have some close-ups here for you in a second. Bye. I almost forgot to mention that if you want a chance to win this box, I will pack it full of goodies and mail it off to a lucky recipient. Just comment below your favorite Christmas tradition. If you want a second chance to win, head on over to my Instagram. Good luck!